Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. My name is Dr. Debbie Pates, and I am a psychologist at the UCCS Wellness Center, which most of you probably already know. And we are gonna do some yoga today. Why don't we start? Well, start in child's pose. We're gonna come up to seated. But begin in child's pose. You can also stay seated to start and close your eyes and just come inside. But you might like to start in child's pose because sometimes I'm disappointed if I go to a practice and I don't start in child's pose because it is what feels right. And so just been thinking about shifts and changes. It's springtime. And I saw this morning a scrub oak tree even starting to bloom. I don't know if you guys are aware, but here in Colorado, the scrub oaks, as much as this is anecdotal in my own casual observation, but the scrub oaks are the first to throw out their leaves in the fall, and they're also the last to bud in the spring. And so when the scrub oaks begin to bud, I get excited, like, yes, maybe it's really going to start to get warm. I love the warm weather. And even having said that, I woke up this morning, as probably many of you did, to a snow-covered landscape. So changing, fluctuation, moving forward, moving back, seasons can be a reminder that everything changes. And I know that for me, as for probably many of you, there's this a lot of mixed feelings. I was about to say trepidation, I'm not sure that's the right word, but around things reopening after the pandemic. And I say after the pandemic, but we're not really through the pandemic, and that is where some of my own trepidation comes in. Some people are vaccinated, some people are not vaccinated. Texas opened up everything and lifted all COVID restrictions, but then there are spikes in COVID. And, we've gotten used to, a lot of us staying home, doing a lot of, even if you're not working at home, right? A lot of the restaurants and activities that we do haven't been available, and now slowly they're coming back. And just beginning to figure out, where we are individually in the midst of all of these transitions. And it's going to be an ongoing process. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you right now. But maybe through contemplation, through being present, through meditation. We're going to do some meditation at the end of this practice. Yoga, hopefully, is often a moving meditation, and that's the beauty of the familiar movements. It can be really fun to do a high energy, complicated, twisty, bendy practice, but sometimes it's the simplicity of the practice, and that not needing to think about the shapes that we're putting our bodies into, but rather being able to be present and moving with and through them, that it becomes a moving meditation. But it's through the quietness, the presence, that we can begin to tap into, how is this affecting me? How do I want to be through all of these changes? So right now, some breath, really deep, if you haven't begun to do that already. And then come on up to a seated position. I'm sitting on a block because my hips aren't very open, and when I sit just flat on the floor, my knees tend to pop up. And so this sitting on the edge of a block, or a cushion, or a towel rolled up, or anything that you can sit on, a book that's going to not be too uncomfortable but give you some height. You can allow your pelvis to tilt forward I just put those flowers up there. The cat doesn't usually jump up there, so I'm hoping I don't have to say, sorry guys, I have a disaster. Anyway, come on up. Looking good. And find a seat. You can sit in whatever position you want, on or off the block. So sometimes on a block, it's nice to sit in a version of Virasana, hero's pose. So sitting on your knees. And the block can be in any direction, right? If you are sitting on a block, have it length, or I guess this is this direction, not this direction. Because, unless you really need it taller, but this gives your butt bones wider, more support, right? So you can sit on your knees if you want, and however you choose to be sitting. Once again, drop in. We're going to do a mellow flow today. Close your eyes maybe, and tap into your breath. Notice, you don't need to change anything, but if you want to, as I call attention to it, that's fine. Notice what's going on with your shoulders. Notice what's going on with your jaw. We'll do a brief body scan. Let's start at the top of our head. So notice actually what's going on in your scalp, in your hairline, your forehead, your temples. Notice what's going on in your ears, back of your head. Come on down, back around to your jaw, your throat, your neck in the back. And then from your back of neck, go down to your shoulders. And broaden from middle of your back and your spine out, shoulder blades, edges of your shoulders. And bring your awareness down your arms, left arm, right arm, your biceps, your triceps, your elbows, fronts and backs of your forearm, your hands, right side of your body, left side of your body. And then sweep your attention up your arms, up your shoulders, back into your chest. How's your chest? Down. Your breasts, your stomach, back side, your waist, your low back. Kind of missed your mid-back, so add that in there. And down, connecting where your body is connecting to the ground or block. Your butt, your pubic area. Attention down to your hips, right hip, left hip, down your left leg, your right leg, thighs, knees, shins, feet and ankles. And then sweep your energy back up to encompass all of your body. Noticing those areas of tightness and those areas of freedom. The areas where you might have found tension and the areas that seemed more spacious. And trying to come to a space of non-judgment around all of that. Allowing it to just be. And then from this seated position, with your eyes open or closed, whatever you like, drop your chin to your chest. Try to stay sitting upright. And right now, already, you may have a lot of sensation. For some people, the act of dropping your chin to your chest, some people feel it all the way down their spine into like their butt. But if you don't feel anything, and you would like to feel more, or you feel something, but you would like to feel more, then maybe clasping your hands behind your head, letting your elbows come down by your ears, thumbs around your hairline, or where your hairline would be if you don't have hair. And not pulling per se, but just allowing the weight of your arms to give a little bit more stretch in your neck. all we're going for throughout today's practice is feeling. I want you to feel something. And so if you're feeling something, you're already where we need to be. It's only not feeling something, right? That would suggest you need to take the shape further. Begin to make circles. And I invite you to do it really slowly. Going in one direction, I'll give you a cue to change directions. Be very curious about the movement and how it's showing up in your body today. How it's showing up, of course, in your neck. How it is maybe showing up in relationship to your spine, to your shoulders, to your thoughts. What attributions are you making, if any? How fluid is the movement? And I'm asking not because it matters that the movement be fluid, but only to give you another thing to maybe begin to tune into as you tap into your body. And then next time you get to the center, switch direction. Keep your breath moving in and out of your nose. Allowing the breath to be a primary part of what we're doing here, a primary part of yoga, right? On a lot of levels, yoga means union. Comes from the Sanskrit root word yuj, union, and it's a linking of mind and body and spirit. Coming back to center. Inhale your arms up. And clasp your hands together and turn your palm toward the ceiling and reach up, just stretching. You can look up. You can wiggle around a little bit, moving maybe side to side, noticing expansion through your rib cage, keeping your breath moving, keeping your breath always moving. And then come back to center and release your arms, let them float down. And bring your hands into your heart. Breathe in and breathe out. And then from your seated position, I'm sitting up high on a block right now. It's not going to work sitting up this high. So if it's possible for you to, I want you to be able to touch the ground is really what I'm looking for here. So you might want to change your block position, and we're going to do a gentle twist. So bring your right hand behind your body and bring your, and a lot of times when we do a final spinal twist in a seated position, the cue would be thumb by the base of your spine, but we don't have to twist that deeply right now. The body isn't that warm, and it's just a chill practice to just get some blood flowing. So maybe right hand kind of just behind your right butt cheek, and bring your left hand anywhere onto your right thigh, and just gently twisting through your abdomen. When the body's not warm, this is actually a nice time to notice how much you might be tempted to fake the twist by turning your head without getting the torque in your body. And that's really what we're going for. And then switch sides. Bring your right hand to somewhere on your left thigh, left hand, maybe out to the side a little bit, and twisting from your midsection. Sometimes twists in a practice make you burp, because you are actually compressing your organs. It made me burp, that's why I said it. And then come on back to center and remove your block completely if you have it. And just put it over to the side for now and come on to your hands and knees. Cat cows. Inhaling in cat. Exhaling in cow. And always, always, even in a mellow practice like this, breath cues are a suggestion. If it works for you, then breathe with my cues. If the cues don't work for you, simply use them as a reminder to keep on breathing. And from your hands and knees, come on back to a neutral position. Walk your hands a little bit forward, tuck your toes, lift your hips, downward facing dog. So yeah, it is going to be a mellow practice. But we're going to move through some standing shapes and then come back down to the mat. Not that down dog is a standing shape, but it's not often a pose you would see in a yin or restorative class, which this is not. I'm not claiming it's either of those things. Breathe. Notice the weight in your hands and where the weight is falling. Maybe allow your heels to sink lower as you lift your hips higher. And a lot of times the way we can lift our hips higher, that's how do you do that, is you push into your hands and send your hips further back. So there's a lot of activation, a lot of muscles going on in downward facing dog. But muscle engagement is different than tension. Drop your knees to the mat. Untuck your toes. You might want to walk up a little bit further. And we're going to come into Virasana maybe for your second time. This time without the block, hero's pose, if you can. And if you want, if you've been sitting now in this shape for a little while, you might be ready to take it further. Coming back to whatever degree works for you today. Perhaps you want to lay all the way down. Perhaps you can lay all the way down, but you don't want to today. Right? Let the practice be an experiment. Let the practice be an exercise in curiosity and compassion for your body. Have compassion, not, bossiness. Come from a space of, hey body, that gets me through my life every single day and I so often take for granted. What do you want from me today? I am ready to listen to you rather than bossing you around into what I want you to do, because that's going to serve my ego. If you're on your back, come on up. Go all the way forward onto your hands and knees, just to kind of give your knees a break here, but we're not going to shift too much. Now tuck your toes and sit back onto your heels. We're going to come into toes pose. Bring your hands to your heart perhaps and just sit upright. Breathe. Notice how difficult this posture is. Now, it doesn't look like much. I'm very aware of that. Right? So somebody coming into your room and looking at you might be like, oh, wow, you're not really doing much, are you? But we know differently. Most people find this almost excruciating. And I don't want you to be gritting your teeth and doing any version of the, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You can take a break if you need to, right? Bring your hands in front of you, lift your buttocks off your heels if you want to, but rather be with. That's what yoga practice can offer us. Be with and use breath to send that real neurochemical cue, neuroelectric cue to your brain. I am not in danger. I'm not freaking out. I've got this. I can be present in uncomfortable situations and stay calm. Come forward, that's enough of that. Anyhow, tuck your toes, yowza, yowza, yowza. Sit back one more time here just to kind of give your toes a break. Just you could sit on your heels, you don't have to sit between them unless that's more comfortable for you. And then come on back, one time again. Well, not the only one time again, but downward facing dog. And from down dog, drop your left knee onto the mat. Spin your right heel flat, right foot flat. And you can move it. You don't have to leave it out where it was. You can bring it a little more parallel to your left foot. You can allow your left foot to move behind you and open up into side plank, modified side plank. Feel it out. Feel where your body wants to be today. And then bring your right hand over, right palm, right bicep by your right ear. Right hand pointing to the ground. Stretch from the edge of your right foot through your right fingertips, right arm back up, and lift your right leg. Foot can be pointed or flexed on your right side, but make a choice, right? So rather than just having it hang out. And then notice what's going on in your right hip, right arm. Can you roll open a little bit? Actually, maybe even bend your right leg and reach behind you and grab your right foot. And allow the kick into your hand to open your hip, open your shoulder. And then release without slamming your limbs. Put your right foot down, back behind you. Bring your right hand down to the mat and come on into high plank. From high plank, lower chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. So I said it's going to be mellow, but I didn't say it's going to be always easy. Sometimes when we do things more slowly, they're harder. And you're probably thinking, oh God, what's coming up? Yeah, you're right. Okay, don't worry about it though. You can drop your knees if you want. Rock, forward, high plank. Drop your knees if you want. Slowly lower into chaturanga, low push up, and then push back up. The slower you go, the more muscular activation you get, which is why it's harder. Another time, lower, chaturanga, high plank. Try to keep your body in one solid movement, like a plank, rather than some kind of inchwormy thing. One more time, lower. Low plank, high plank, lift your hips, downward facing dog. Drop your right knee to the ground, spin your left foot flat, make whatever adjustments you need to, and open up. Left hand to the sky, opening up, maybe allowing your left hand to even fall back a little bit, and then bring your left bicep by your ear, palm facing the floor, reach, stretch, and then lift your hand back up, lift your left leg. Keep your breath flowing, and then bend your left knee, reach back and grab your left foot and kick, opening, hip, shoulder, keeping your breath flowing as you're in a balance as well here. Release, and bring your hand and leg down, step back, high plank, lower all the way to the mat. Untuck your toes. Allow your hands to come palms down by your sides. Actually, let's do bring your hands back underneath your shoulders and push up into cobra. And then come on back down. Let's do 5 of these, kind of undulating. Back up, inhale. Pulling forward as well as pushing up. Back down, inhale up. You can be doing cobra or up dog if you want, 2 more. But really just looking at working spine here more than, come on back down. And then last one, working the spine more than the arm balance, arm muscles. And then come on back down. Now working the spine a little further. Now bring your arms by your sides, palms facing down. Shalabhasana, locust pose. When you are ready, lift everything. And if you're like, oh, I'm never ready for this, then don't do it. Or challenge yourself. Notice how, when you say, oh, I can't do that, right? What kind of energy is that to send yourself? I can't do that. Well, then you're right. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. What if you shifted it to, I'll try. Release everything down. Turn your head to the right, left ear on the mat. Maybe your arms are alongside your body, palms up this time. Noticing how your neck feels here today. Noticing what it feels like to just lay on the ground for now. And then come on back to center. And let's do bow pose. Bend your knees and grab your feet. And kick into your hands. Kick into your hands and lift your upper body. So this is a shape that we do, I guide you guys to, usually after a lot more warming up of the body. So you may be experiencing it differently right now. And be with that as best as you can in a witness kind of way rather than a judge kind of way. Release. Turn your head to the left, right ear on the mat. What does it take to step out of judging everything, judging, and simply be a witness, noticing what's going on? Isn't that interesting? Bring your head back to center, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes, push up, high plank, and then lift your hips up. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward. Drop your left knee to the ground. Untuck your right toes and come on up into crescent moon. Arms can be reaching up, or arms can be on your leg, arms can be at your heart. Maybe you rock back and forth a little bit in this position. Just noticing, feeling your hips, your thighs, your shoulders, your abdomen. Noticing the top of your left foot on the floor. And then twist, bring your hands to your heart. Left elbow to the outside of your right knee. A deeper twist than the one we started with before. And unwind, runner's lunge. Toe heel your right foot up. You can allow your foot to, you can, if you want, roll your knee open and come onto the outer edge of your, you know what, bring your, well, do whatever you want. But we can take a twist here as well, which is also a very deep quad opening on the left leg. So if you want, I think we did this last week as a matter of fact, if you want, bend your left knee, reach back with your right hand, pull your left foot toward your butt as you try to open up your right shoulder. So it's a twist, an opening, especially for a lot of people in the left thigh there. And then release. Bring your hands wherever you want and just step your right foot back. High plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Breath in and out. Step your left foot forward, right knee down and rise up, crescent moon. Again, maybe kind of undulating almost in this shape, finding gentle movement, just seeing what it feels like to be a little bit over here, a little bit over there in these movements. And then hands to your heart and twist. Sometimes practicing with a lot of muscle, a lot of the high energy coming back. And take plain old runner's lunge, or you can go right into, I kind of just guided us more quickly into that twist. So maybe reaching back, bending your right knee, reaching back, grabbing your right foot with your left hand, rolling open. A lot of times we practice, you think about the yin and the yang, and the yin is the softer, sometimes the more feminine, and the yang is the more muscular, more masculine. We don't always, and a lot of times our power yoga practices really release here, you guys. Right hand, left hand back down, step back, high plank, lower, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. A lot of time our power yoga practices but it's a different kind of energy. And just seeing how this is working out for you. Don't panic, it's not like 5 minutes, but just hold and know that you're going to be here for a few breaths. And what if we did? We're not gonna, but what if I did say, hey, let's hold this the rest of this hour? I think that's about a half hour. What would you need to do? What little motions, what little shifts? Would you need to rotate your hands differently? Would you need to bend your knees a little bit, shift your weight? Look in between your hands and walk, baby steps. Hang in ragdoll. Wow, we made it halfway through the class. We're only now in ragdoll. It's an important movement though, right? Bending over. Definitely not a movement. Well, definitely yes, a movement I think we take for granted. But not a movement that we would want to lose. How else are you gonna get your shoes on? I guess they have this, like, my aunt had a back injury and she had some kind of contraction, like a stick, I don't know what it was, to put her socks on. But you don't really want one of those. You'd rather just be able to bend over and put your socks on, I'd say. If your elbows are not bent, bend your elbows and clasp outside of opposite elbow. We're going to do something called sunflower. So what I want to do is, with your elbows clasped, come over the right side and kind of roll up. Your elbows are framing your head, roll up toward the right side. You're making an arc, come all the way to standing, and then come down on the left side. And let's do that 3 times to the right. So touching a lot of the places that we would do in some of our Warrior 2 series. Upper body, not legs, obviously. And after your 3rd time, switch to the left. But doing it in a very different way. And just see how you like it. And if you don't like it, you can reject it. 3 times to your left. And maybe, even though it's not a normal high energy practice, we'll do that next week. How about when you get back down, put your hands down. Actually, yeah, put your hands down. Come up halfway lift. First halfway lift. Pause in halfway lift. We'll do a high energy next week. Lengthen your tailbone back, crown and head forward. Engaging your stomach muscles, your back muscles. And then take that length down. Sweep up, rise with a flat back. Bring your hands together overhead and bring your energy into your heart, and then sweep your arms up. Dive forward. Halfway lift. Fold, hands down, step back, high plank, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward, spin your left foot flat. Rise up, warrior 1. Clasp your hands behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Open up your heart to the possibility of new beginnings. And then bow with humility, humble warrior. Right shoulder comes to the inside of your right knee. Let your neck be soft, let your head dangle. Let your hands come off your back as high as they will. And don't worry about how high that is. Rise back up. Warrior 1. Open. Warrior 2. Reach. Right arm forward, left arm back. Warrior 2. And then flip your right palm. Reverse your warrior. Reaching your right knee forward. Right arm back behind you. And then windmill down. High plank. Low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step your left foot forward. Spin your right foot flat. Warrior 1, rise up. Clasp your hands behind your back. Opposite grip if you remember which way you did. Warrior, open your heart. Open your heart and bow. Hands coming off your back, neck soft, knee bent. Come on back up. Warrior 1, and then open into Warrior 2. Find Warrior 2. Be in this. Be here now. Be here now. Because if you're not here now, where are you? Flip your left palm. Or reverse warrior. Maybe you're like, wow, this is the awesomest practice. I'm loving every minute of it. Or maybe the opposite. Come on back down. High plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. But wherever you are, if you're loving it, hopefully, you can just be kind of moving and grooving and finding that moving meditation. If you're not enjoying the practice and you're sitting around grumbling like, oh, I hate this practice, then not only are you not enjoying the practice, but you're kind of ruining the moment. Right? So you could roll up your mat and stop doing it. You could stay on your mat and do something else, or you could just say, well, I'll give it a try. But whichever one of those choices you do, it's a choice to be in a positive space rather than creating a negative space. We create these choices for ourselves all the time. Well, we have the opportunity to create these choices. Lift your right leg out. Bend your knee, open your hip. Maybe flip your dog. Let your right foot come behind you. Both feet flat. Right arm reaching back. Lifting your hips. And then come on back to three-legged dog. And step your right foot through. Warrior one. Right into warrior two. Let's do triangle. Straighten your right knee. Reach with your right arm. And tilt. So again, the body isn't as warm. Right? All those sun salutations, those are warm-ups. And now, we didn't do them. Maybe you're feeling, oh yeah, those really are warm-ups. So rather than being annoyed that you're doing this shape differently, be curious. Isn't that interesting how my body's showing up here right now? Come on up. Slide your, you know what, actually, just spin your right foot in. Tee your arms out. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and bow. Feet are parallel or pigeon-toed. And grab onto maybe your heels from the outside. Wide-legged forward bend. And then come on up kind of halfway. Turn your right foot back to the front of your mat and crawl over. And what we're going to do is turn and come on into pigeon. So drop your left knee and scoot your right foot across the top of your mat. Bring your left knee back a little bit, make your way into pigeon. Let your head rest maybe on the mat, maybe on your hands stacked or your fists. And just breathe. And then come on up. Tuck your left toes, lift your left knee. Send your right foot back, high plank. Chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. And I just pushed down in an up dog and my cat was right underneath my face. Lift your left leg up. Bend your knee. First feel that nice opening and then let your left foot come back behind you. Both feet on the ground. lifting your hips, left arm, reaching back. And then come on back. Three-legged dog. Step through. Warrior 1. And open up. Warrior 2. Triangle. You can still do a lot of the stuff we always do. You just might not do it as deeply, right? So you can roll your rib cage open, reach the crown of your head forward as you reach your right hip back, extending through your spine. There's a lot of energy because your left hand isn't like holding you up on your on your left leg, so there's a lot of core strength being developed here. Come on back up. Turn your left foot in. One more time, clasp your hands behind your back. Feet are parallel or a little pigeon-toed. Open your heart and bow. Another shoulder opener here. Drop your hands. Stay in Prasarita. Knees are ideally straight, but they might be a little bit bent. And walk over towards your left foot. And bring your right forearm behind your right calf. Did I say left? I meant right. Right calf behind your right hand, forearm behind your right calf. And with your left hand, grab onto the outside of your right ankle. You can even rest your head on your arm. Release. Walk back. Middle to the other side, sorry. So now you're coming to your left side. Bring your left forearm behind your left calf. Right hand grabs outside of your left ankle. And then release that. And you can even kind of stay as you are towards your left leg, which would be your front leg, and pivot into pigeon. Left knee is forward, left foot comes toward the right side of your body, torso down. Pigeon. It takes time for our bodies to open. You know, I've used this analogy before, but it feels really apt right now. You know, you see these buds on the trees, and God, I want everything to be in bloom. I see my friends in other states posting pictures of these magnificent flowering trees, and I'm so envious, but I see these buds on our trees. But no matter how much I wish the buds would open, you need to allow them to open in their own time. And our bodies are the same way. So sometimes these slower practices, push up, can be good for us. Just allowing the body to open, and bring your legs out in front of you. Dandasana, staff pose. Bring your legs out in front of you. Flex your feet and have your palms by your sides. And sit up, engage everything. Roll your shoulders up and back and down. Feet flexed, your stomach, your back, engage. You can even flex your feet so much maybe that your heels come off the ground. And then lift your arms up and bow forward, trying to get the crown of your head beyond your feet. Looking for the length. And then sit up, roll down onto your back. If you need to shift on your mat, go ahead and do that. And when you get to your back, hug your knees in, rock left to right. Plant your feet on the mat, knees bent, and right away just lift your hips. Come on in your bridge pose. And we'll do a supported bridge today, so you could slide a block under your low back, or you can place both hands underneath your on your sacrum. So your elbows would be on the ground and your hands are on your sacrum, maybe on your butt a little bit. In supported bridge, especially if you're using a block, we could stay a lot longer for most people than we can if the strength of this pose is coming from our legs. But we get the same heart opening benefit. Of course, if you're using the muscular engagement, you're getting different benefit as well, and the heart opening benefit. But what's the point of the practice? Well, the point of the practice is to be present, to be able to be aware. Release your hands and roll down. To be breathing. Let your spine roll down slowly. Hug your knees in. We're not done yet. Hug your knees in. Rock left to right. And place your hands down. We're going to come into plow pose. So place your hands down next to your hips, and using a little bit of momentum, swing your butt up and bring your feet toward the floor overhead. Your feet don't need to touch. If your feet are not touching the ground, please be supporting your low back. It's like a forward fold, but opposite. And then if your hands are not on your low back, and if you would like to do a shoulder stand, bring your hands onto your low back and lift your legs up to the sky, allowing your hips to be supported by your hands, so you're not having a whole ton of weight on your neck. And we'll hold this for probably a little bit longer than most people enjoy holding it. In the yoga tradition, headstand is called the king of postures, and shoulder stand is called the queen of postures. For a lot of us, headstand can be really difficult on our necks, especially if you've had injuries over your lifetime. It's a shape that compresses your neck. So this gives you basically most of the same benefits, reversing gravity, and it's easier on a lot of our bodies. Bring your legs back overhead, coming into plow. Place your hands down on the mat by your hips and roll out of the shape. Hug your knees in, and then just hug your right knee in if you can make that work, and then spinal twist, right knee across your body. Right knee back to center. Hug both knees in, and then let your right leg go long. Spinal twist, left knee across. Come on back up. And hug your knees in and rock up and back along your spine a couple of times. And then come to a seated position. So we're going to do a few minutes of seated meditation. You can absolutely choose to do this laying down in Shavasana if you prefer, or maybe come to seated on a block or a cushion, or you can roll up your mat a little bit if that's more comfortable to you. And come to seated. And close your eyes. You can do everything I'm about to say laying on your back as well. Notice the breath coming in your nostrils. Notice the coolness of the breath. And then begin to notice your exhales. And notice how it's harder to notice the breath going out because it's been warmed up by your body. And it's not a good thing that it's cooler when it comes in. It's not a good thing that it's warmer when it goes out. It's just what is. So noticing, releasing any need to assign meaning. Allowing your body to be grounded, whether you're seated or laying down. Noticing, becoming present with the places of your body that are touching the mat, touching a cushion or block. So are you sitting on something, noticing your butt in connection with that? Noticing your legs on the floor, on your mat. Noticing your hands perhaps resting on the mat, perhaps resting on your legs. Noticing parts of bodies that are touching each other. Perhaps your hands are clasped or your legs are crossed. Maybe your teeth are touching, which if you're clenching your teeth, release your jaw. And I invite you to come to a space of gratitude. First, gratitude, first, whatever came to mind. And becoming aware that that's what came to your mind. And I invited you to come to a space of gratitude. Being grateful for that too. And then perhaps gratitude for the abundance in our lives. We all have so much, really so much more than we need. And it's not that I don't love my beautiful house filled with my stuff. But all that stuff is a bonus. We have so much. We live, so many of us, in a place of abundance. And I invite you to have gratitude for that. Really be grateful, really appreciate it. And then gratitude for the people who make your life easy, the people who make your life meaningful. Maybe even gratitude for the people who challenge you and allow you to put your yoga into action in real life. You know, we wouldn't know light if we didn't know darkness, and we wouldn't know happiness and ease if we didn't know its opposite. And so gratitude for that. Gratitude for our bodies. And all of the things that we take so much for granted. Our vision, if you have that. hearing, all of our senses, taste, right? That's a big deal in COVID. People have lost their sense of smell and taste. And you've probably talked to somebody, right, who's talked about how disorienting and upsetting and weird that is. So gratitude for that. And then sweeping your mind to encompass anything for which you feel grateful. It's 1 o'clock, we're going to end the practice here. I'm grateful for you guys for practicing, for being willing to experiment with a slower practice today. Get ready, we'll work it next week. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Namaste.